Okay, let me start by saying that this is not going to be the most technologically impressive math video you've ever watched. But I did not plan on being out. My little kiddo threw up. So we are going to try to do your notes. And I just kind of scribbled down what is on the notes onto a sheet of paper. So work with me here. Today we are going to practice all three types of factoring. We've been doing this with two. So we've been working with GCF and with dots. Today we're going to introduce the third type, which is T-chart. Now remember the rule, whatever you do on the top, you have to also, whatever you do in the denominator, you also have to also do in the numerator, which is just the top. So whatever you do on bottom, you have to also do it on top. Then remember, you're going to add and subtract the tops together, and then you're going to simplify. So let's get right into example 1. Okay, remember we've done some like this. This is just a warm-up. So you want to have the exact same thing on both of the bottoms. So this one has an x and an x plus 2. This one only has an x plus 2. So you would say, okay, what is that term missing? Hopefully you know from our notes the last 2 days it's missing an x. But if we're going to put an x on bottom, we have to also put an x on top. Then from there, I see both of my bases are now the same. So I can combine that over the same base, x and x plus 2. And then across the top, I'd have 3x from my first fraction, plus, and then 2 times x in my second fraction. Then remember, my step 4 is I need to simplify. So 3x plus 2x is 5x over xx plus 2. Okay, come down to number 2, please. Okay, number 2 says that we have x squared minus 25 and x plus 5. Now, you should notice that this piece over here is a dots. And the reason why is because you can square root both of those. So if I square root here and here, my first square root is an x, my second square root is a 5. So I'm going to rewrite that as x plus 5, x minus 5. And I'm going to cross out the old denominator. Okay, then I look at my bottom terms. I notice they both have an x plus 5. That's great. But this one has an x minus 5. This one doesn't. So I'm going to put an x minus 5 on bottom. And if I put it on bottom, I have to also put it on top. Once I do that, I can see that my bottoms match, which is good news. We can combine all of that over the same bottom. X plus 5, x minus 5. And then I would put whatever I have on the top. Now, my first fraction brings the 7x in plus. And then remember that we talked about if you're multiplying by x minus 5, you'll have to distribute the 4. 4 times x is a 4x. 4 times minus 5 is a minus 20. Then from there, you want to combine like terms. If I have 7x plus 4 more x's, that is 11x minus 20 over x plus 5, x minus 5. And so that would be your final answer for that second one. Okay? All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the page over. If you need to pause this video at any time, please feel free. Okay, next one on the back. Okay, you'll notice that this one looks a little bit different because instead of having a fraction, you just have a number. But remember that if there's nothing on the bottom, that's okay. We're about to put something on the bottom. So notice, this one just has a 1 on the bottom. That one has an x plus 5. You should notice they don't match. We have to fix it. This one only has a 1. I need to multiply it by an x plus 5. But remember, if I need to put an x plus 5 on bottom, I need to also put an x plus 5 on top. Keep those parentheses around that because we know we're going to end up needing to distribute there in a minute. Now, you may think, oh, the 1, we need to put that over here. Okay, you can, but remember that if you times this by 1, it's not going to change anything. And if you times 4 by 1, that's also not going to change anything. So the 1 really is kind of irrelevant. Okay, so our new bottom is just x plus 5. Again, you can put the 1 if you want to, but it's not necessary. Okay, then we're going to distribute our 4x across the top. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times 5 is plus 20. Then I move to my plus, 20x, excuse me. And then I move to my plus sign right here. And then my other fraction had a 4, but remember we times it by 1, so it's just still a plus 4. Okay, so if one of the numbers is a whole number, you can turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, look at number 4. The first thing that you should notice here is that this very first fraction now has a t-chart. We have t-charted a million times, but this is the first example that we're looking at that happens to have a t-chart in it. So first thing I'm going to do is set up my t. I'm going to do it up here. Okay, A, B, C. I multiply my AC together. That's 1 times 4 is 4. And I want to think of all the ways to times and get 4. 1 times 4, 2 times 2. Then remember, if my 4 is a positive, like it is here, that tells me that I need to add to get to my B. My B is a 5. So hopefully you're thinking, oh, if I want him to add to 5, I have to pick 1 and 4. Very good. So this is x plus 1 on the bottom, x plus 5 on the bottom. Okay, come over and look at our other piece. We have 3x plus 3. That's not t-chart, that's GCF, because both of those can divide by 3. So I'm going to put my 3 on the outside, and then I'm going to put whatever's left over. Okay, out of the 3x, if I divide by 3, that's an x. Divide plus 3 by 3, I get a plus 1. And then from there, I look at my denominators, and I want to see what do they have in common, and then what is each one missing. This one has an x plus 1 and an x plus 5. It does not have a 3. So I'm going to have to put a 3 here and also on top. My second fraction has a 3 and an x plus 1, but it does not have this x plus 5. And remember, in order for me to put 1 on the bottom, I have to also put 1 on top. So once you factor your denominators, you can just rewrite them underneath. Okay, so from here, my entire bottom is a 3, an x plus 1, and an x plus 5. Then I'm going to go across the top. For my first fraction, I had a 1, but I times it by 3. Now it's just a 3. For my second one, I have a minus 5x. And I'm going to have to distribute that into each of my parentheses. What is minus 5x times x? Minus 5x squared. And then what is minus 5x times 5? That would be minus 25x. Then from there, you would look across the top to see if you can combine like terms. The answer to that for this question is no, you can't. That's an x squared, that's an x. They don't go together. But you can put them in the correct order. So that's what we're going to do next. Remember, you always let the x squared term come first, then the normal x term, then the normal number. So you want to put them in the correct form, but your denominator just stays the same. So that would be your final answer. Okay, number 5 we're going to skip. It's very